Lovely. Okay, so hello everybody, welcome, and thank you for watching this video. So my name is Samaya, and I'm here to with the lovely Delphine O'Keeffe, who's been one of my wonderful clients, and we've worked together recently over a 4-month period in the playground, which has been a very interesting experience. And I want to welcome you, Delphine. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Samaya. Always good to talk with you.
Lovely. And I just wanted to invite you here, Delphine, because obviously we've had a journey of 4 months together. It's been a journey that I've enjoyed thoroughly working with you. And I kind of wanted to, I guess, ground the experience a little bit and give a bit of a taster to anybody who might want to know what that journey was about, the 4 months that we spent together. And just to kind of give it a bit more of a flesh and sort of flesh it out a bit and kind of ground the experience, if that's okay with you. So thank you for being here to talk about that.
Yeah.
And just to say, for those who might not know, and I will keep a link below this video with regards to the playground, some more information, but the playground is essentially a 4-month group mentorship for men and women who are creatives, who are business owners, who are visionaries, who are people who really basically want to grow their impact and into their business whilst continuing to grow their intuition and I guess intuitive skills and awareness on a deeper level. So it's about developing that and whilst growing the business as well. And it's kind of combining business development with intuitive development. So that was essentially what the core of the program was about. So Delphine, just really wanted to know, I mean, first of all, I love this kind of questions, things like, you know, if you were to choose, say, one word to describe the experience for you. And I know sometimes it can be tricky to try and come down.
Oh no, you're starting with the hardest question ever. I was just going to say, like, it's almost impossible to summarize the depth of this kind of experience in, 20 minutes, never mind in one word.
Okay. But but like, if you were to like kind of think of one word in a sort of like nonchalant way.
I don't do anything nonchalantly. No, I do. Magical.
Okay.
Yeah, magical.
Cool. No,
life-changing, magical. Like the image I get is just sparkle and expansion. So yeah, the energy of just pure magic, but like grounded magic. So yeah, magic manifested maybe. And
I really love that. I really like that because I really believe in magic, and it's very kind of it's there available to all of us, but I love the kind of grounded aspect because at the end of the day, that's what we all want to experience, right? We want to be able to experience it in a grounded way. So that's beautiful. And can I ask, what did you enjoy the most about those 4 months together? And I have to say that so one of the things that we do obviously in the course, we connect with our spirit guides. And before I even knew you wanted to come into the program, if you remember, part of the program is all the participants will get a crystal at the end that's going to be programmed with the soul streams, and we'll discuss later what the soul streams are. Before I even knew you were coming on board, the guides came and told me what your crystal was going to be. And I said, hang on a minute, she hasn't come on board yet. And so she's coming anyway. But so I'd love to know, what did you enjoy the most about that experience? What were some of the aspects that you enjoyed the most about it?
Oh, so much of it. It was just so much fun as well as profound and life-changing, like on all different levels. But I suppose the adventure, like the journey into the unknown for me was very new, because everything I'd done before was probably I had some sense, like some kind of mental image or some preconception, for what this could be like. And this was something that I embarked on, not really knowing what I was getting into, really, like probably my heart and soul did. But my conscious self was just like, let's just jump, let's just see what happens here, So it's really very adventurous thing for me to do. I didn't quite know, like when you were saying that you had got that information from your guides, I was laughing because part of me had already decided I was going to do this. I didn't know how, and I hadn't told you, but I was like, this is for me, this is speaking to me so deeply, I'm in. And the fact that it was called the playground, I was like, yep, I am so in.
And I love when you talked about also, because the playground seemed a very aligned title for the program. and the sort of playfulness of it, but it was kind of serious play on the same time. And what I like about the way you describe it as the adventure of it, that was kind of really very much the energy that was coming up, and it was very much of an adventure for me. It was an experience that I grew from as well. So I really love that the alignment in that, and I think essentially what the reason why you had come up through the guides was because it was an aligned collaboration, you know. And essentially is what we want to create, right? If we want to work with clients, we want to work with clients who feel aligned, and play with people that feel like aligned with our message and our energy and what we're putting out in the world. So that feels really wonderful.
Definitely. And that's what I'm feeling now as I'm doing my work with clients as well. So it's just like having that experience with you as my guide and coach and mentor and having such a good buzz, like such a good vibe with you, like, you know, from everything, from the real depths of things that were very challenging and hard, you know, and difficult, like emotionally and mentally, to, you know, just things that were coming up for me during those months, to just hilarity, like, and fun, and such a kind of a really like growing sense of like excitement, but again, a grounded excitement. It wasn't just like a mad trip, and, you know, like it was a really deep exploration, but I really felt that lovely energy with you, and it was such an energy boost, like a real boost to feel that sense of fun and alignment with you.
Sure.
It was just a really good vibe.
That's really lovely. How was it for you connecting with your guides? What was that experience like, your spirit guides? And how do you feel that has helped you by doing so, by making that connection more consciously through the shamanic journeys that we've done?
I think it's massively increased my sense of trust in life. So, of course, my skeptical ego mind was doubting and trying to keep me, you know, sort of controlled and in something familiar and safe. But I was ready, I think, at this point for the expansion. So it just brought me into much more of a sense of trust and being supported, I think, by energies that I don't understand, by things that I don't get, but that I'm now willing to not just believe, but I have an experience of being supported by guides now. So it really, really kind of grounded that for me. And I have just a deep sense of trust in a bigger picture that I don't fully understand, but that there's something really supportive about it now.
And did it feel like real enough as an experience, the shamanic journeys, for you to kind of like, I guess, for that shift of the ego that you talked about to happen, and for you to feel much more like grounded in the experience?
It did. At the beginning, I was kind of like, is this like all nonsense? Is this crazy? Or like, am I crazy? Have I just signed up for the craziest thing ever? And like, I'm now officially a mad person who's in denial. But so that, you know, it's constant, you know. But because I had an experience of you as talking about things that were like wild to me, like completely wild, you know, intergalactic beings and all these different energies that I never thought that someone like me, who was so uber rational before, would believe in. But you talked about it in such a grounding way that it can just integrate with real life and is not like either or. I had a sense of trust in the beginning. So yeah, I kind of gradually, as the weeks went by, I trusted that sense of dropping into myself and just hearing the whisperings of my soul and of these different energies that were just like kind of giving me the right information as I needed it. And then it became really joyful. It wasn't as like unsettling or weird, you know, and part of me can still go like, did that even happen? Is that even true? And as you said yourself, which was really reassuring for me to hear, you know, part of us will still always doubt.
Yeah,
because that's what the superego does. That's what the mind does to kind of try and keep us safe, but it limits us. So, but despite all that, I do have a deeper trust now. Definitely have a deeper trust. And a sense of being supported in my work, you know, in my own personal life, and then with my clients. It's kind of like just calling in more of a supportive energies and holding for our journeys here in this earthly dimension.
Absolutely. And I mean, I guess you partly answer that in terms of like some of the things that, what would you say are some of the more visible ways or more conscious ways where you do things a little bit differently in your life or in your business at the moment? Can you spot some things that you feel, okay, here there's a little bit of a change there, or there's some change, or the significant change, or whatever, with regards to how you were doing? Because I mean, I noticed quite a big shift in you, as I think I've kind of reflected back to you.
Yeah.
But I'm more interested in how you perceive it and how you sensed it in your own experience, because I
think there's been massive shifts. Sorry.
that's the one that matters in a way, not just the reflection you get from others. But
Yeah, well, like you were reflecting it back to me before I could really feel it, you know, when I was still in some doubt and like, how is this going to work, and not really fully trusting that things could be done in a different way. But there's been a massive shift in my trust. You know, there was a lot of focus on external activity and communication, and this belief that the harder you work and the more you do, the more the more successful you'll be. And it's just so not the case. Like, the more I am resting and aligned with my own joy, and the more I'm just buzzing on what makes me happy and genuinely doing what I feel I'm meant to be doing, the more abundant my life gets. Like, it's the stuff of memes on Facebook, you know, but it's like, I'm actually really experiencing it now. I'd always, had some sense of like, could that be true? Could I dare to believe it? That if you just align energetically, things follow, suit. And it really does. And I'm just trusting that much more.
Shall we tell people what you do a bit? Because I think that kind of links to, when I particularly when I first met you, you've got a psychotherapy background, right? And you've got a very academic background and a very strong intellectual capacity, which is a very powerful thing, and something that was very strong in my life, and in a way, when you came to play in the playground, it was like there was a sense of you were bringing that depth and strength of your intellect. Yet it was that thing of like balancing it up a bit with a sort of depth and strength of your intuition, which was then maybe there was a little bit of that trepidation around really tapping into it. And I really love, that's for me where I found the major shift to be happening, is like really dropping from the mind and the intellect and collaborating and working in synergy with it alongside with your intuition. So, but in a way, for that not going on the driver's seat.
Yeah, and trusting that. And it was, again, it really took a lot of like trusting and taking a leap of faith to imagine that being more fun and more silly and more playful, wouldn't mean I would lose credibility, or, it's just so amazing in my work with clients. So in both the coaching work I do and the psychotherapy work that I do, which is very like embodied and more intuitive and creative nowadays, I probably approached this work from a more intellectual curiosity as well as a journey of self-discovery. Mm-hmm. But now I'm just using my intuition so much more, and I'm trusting it. I just have such a stronger sense of self-confidence. And this experience on the playground with you has come at the end of a lot of years of self-discovery and therapy and all of that. So, but it just was, the time was ripe, for me to start jumping into the intuitive part more. Like, my problem is not having enough information, that part takes care of itself.
Yeah.
So it was time to use my full self. So things like, for example, in client work, I might have images coming into my mind, or just like a strong gut feeling, and then I would maybe doubt it as being inappropriate, or like it would just be so weird that I wouldn't want to say it. And then since, over the last few months, now that I just feel just freer, it feels less like high stakes if I say something more experimental or more playful. So I'm using this inner kind of, guidance a lot more. And almost every single time when I say something like, I'm not sure why this is coming up, but does this symbol mean anything to you, or I have a sense of whatever it may be. And nearly all the time clients are just like, oh my God, that's so weird, you should say that because blah, 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 blah. And then, it launches the process into just a deeper level, and also gives other people, like gives my clients and friends and family, permission to believe in magic and believe in, and talk about the moon and the cycles and our inner and outer cycles and the parts of us that are mysterious, like trusting in the mystery and opening up to the profound creativity that is in the unknown. It takes a lot of courage, and I think I needed the holding environment of something like the playground and with you. And I knew you had a psychotherapy background, because I'd always be a bit wary of spiritual bypassing and love and light stuff without the sense of like, let's look at the shadow.
I think we really kind of resonated with that we kind of
definitely
value grounded experience, and also like empirical kind of background, and having that sort of like, let's be inquisitive, but let's be grounded about it. And really valuing the kind of inner work on the shadow, and kind of like not bypassing things, and just really going deep down to do the work. And often that work is like, it's not glamorous work. It's not fun work. Yeah.
No.
And so we were coming with a clear understanding and a personal experience of that. And I think that's partly where the alignment was as well, that in a way that kind of was enough of a kind of created enough of a trust space.
It did, yeah. I think I needed that. I needed to know that you understood the importance of like early developmental stuff and the nervous system and, you know, attachment relationships and all of that, as well as the transpersonal part that's mysterious. So they're not mutually exclusive. That's the part that's so beautiful about this.
I think I love that you mentioned that, actually. I really, really love that you mentioned that, because often we are sort of a little bit as human beings, the kind of like, we like to exclude things. Is that we choose that over this? And it's kind of like, I love the word synergy, and I love the experience of synergy, and in a way, making the most of our strengths and making the most out of our capacity to be kind of human, but also be fifth dimensional and really allow those experiences as well. And something about working with all we have. And at times, yes, you know, we need to know when our mind needs to take the driving seat, and we need to know when it needs to be the servant, as Einstein used to say, to the kind of more imaginative and the more, I guess, the more intuitive experience, which holds so much information and so much value and has those many ways. So
and I feel like I had like a backlog of all of that stuff, you know, that I didn't trust. It was kind of like that was always there. But I felt, I suppose, that the sensitive parts of me or the intuitive parts of me were either like wrong, or that it was kind of that I was making it up. So there was so much self-doubt, you know, and all the past conditioning, which now that I'm actually trusting it, it's so interesting to me that the more playful and fun and magical and the more kind of out there and woo I'm willing to open to, the more grounded and successful and productive in the sense of like, I don't know, deep and successful in that sense of like, you know, authentic and real. My practices and my experiences with clients are, and the more my everyday life is real, you know, and just so aligned with my needs. And I needed permission, I think, like external permission. So I gave myself that permission by signing up to the program and investing in that experience with you. But it was like, I was, I suppose, using you as my reflection of this permission of, yeah, you can play, you can down tools, you need to create space. What I've been doing has not been working. The striving and straining, you know, even though I've come a long way in my personal journey on that, there were still elements of it that were sneaky, and there probably always will be. And you were like, okay, you need to stop being up in your head like that. And you really kind of held me accountable. And it just kind of was like created a space and a kind of hiatus for something new to grow and take root in a really solid way. So now, like, you know, like I have, like I had a new client sign up at the price point that felt really right for me, and it happened in a magical way, which was
and
like,
it happened just when the guides came in with that message that the clients were coming, but it's not going to be hard work. You're going to have to like manifest them. And then it was like, how long did it take? What, within that week? You had two people coming forward, but one.
5 minutes after a session with you, I got a phone call. I mean, do you remember that time? Like I
didn't realize it was 5 minutes after, but I remember showing up in the group, in the Facebook group, to say specifically with a message for you from the guy, that they were saying, look, you know, they're coming in. You just like really, you're not going to have to work hard for it. And that was, I think, that was what was bugging you. It's like you were really kind of.
It's what my heart needed to know so badly, you know, like to trust, and that was such a beautiful evidence of it. And
did
we
you
don't
feel like an aligned client? Is she an aligned client?
Oh my God! Like, I don't know if you remember my message to you. I was like, there were ridiculous amounts of synchronicity, and I just felt like this is exactly who I want to be working with. This is somebody who is, you know, open to the journey, is a real person who will have the trials and tribulations that we all have, like that I have, you know, in my work as a coach and as a client in my own personal, you know, continuing journey. Absolutely, it was the stuff of dreams, you know, but it was happening for real, and it's continuing to happen. I just feel, and of course, you know, then this little chirpy chirp kind of like, oh, it's never going to happen again. That was random, you know. My Cartesian French background is like, statistically speaking, it's probably likely that was going to happen. And so, you know, and I've done the work as well. That's the thing.
I love that.
I know, and that it's like, okay, keep talking. And like, in fairness, you know, I have done the work, the real world work, as in the three-dimensional work, because who knows what the real world is, of creating a website, of creating the structures and the systems. And that's what I loved about the work with you as well, is that we had some sessions on the really kind of concrete stuff, on financial stuff, on time management, and then other sessions were completely out there, and the sense of very dreamlike shamanic kind of journeying with these incredible symbols coming in, and the two just really came together. It's almost like and it really is, and that relates to my soul streams, as we uncovered, about kind of embodying self-mastery, but also spirit embodied.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I don't need to know why. I don't need the evidence. My rational self is not piping up so loudly that I can't shut it down, and it's not stopping the magic from happening. So why would you want to live any other way when you can live in it's just so generative, this constant. And I suppose being around someone like you, being in this process, you know, and guided by you, is so reinforcing and generating this consistent, like, high vibrational sense of possibility that's not, as I said, trippy and dream work. Like, it's translated into concrete work, into, you know, an actual, like, a real world experience of my business expanding. And I feel that's going to continue.
That's just wonderful. And I love, I guess from what you're describing, feels like where is that kind of marrying of like that magical experience, but in a grounded way. It's kind of bringing it down to like in a way that is kind of very tangible, and you can see and feel and see the results in your business. I want to know a little bit about the doing soul streaming, and particularly, which is a kind of additional process with the shamanic journeys that we do, that I incorporated with the channeled method that I got from Spirit in 2016. That was, and you know, we, as part of that, we identified the key soul streams, which are your signature energy, that kind of energy that is uniquely you, and we can all share aspects of those elements, you know, soul energies or messages, but essentially it's our energy, right? And how was it that for you, and what did that do for you? And do you want to share what your primary 5 or 6 soul streams were? You don't have to, but also, like, what was it particularly for you going through that experience, and was it useful, and if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what called me into the process, as well as the playful aspect and your personal energy. You know, I think we're always drawn to people we know at some level something can happen with them, and we resonate with them. So definitely the playful aspect, but it's that core hunger in me to know, like, who I really am, not an external truth, but that inner essence and that journey inward, which has always drawn me to different, you know, endeavors. And this was like, well, at what higher level can you know than at the soul level? And you know, now that I'm able to kind of believe that is another dimension of myself, and that there are things beyond the fight, you know, beyond our sensory knowledge. So that was kind of what I was looking for, you know. That's what I work with other people with. Like, as a 4 on the Enneagram, I'm always seeking that depth of, like, what is it that makes me individual? What is it that can really help me, you know, feel joyful and of service to others? You know, what am I here to do? Was this hunger to know. But in the event, it was actually quite fun and playful and more of a magical discovery than a kind of...
Did it resonate as well? Did it resonate what you learned?
Totally. So that's what was amazing. I suppose I got permission from you to sort of confirm, or like doing those soul streams and doing this process confirmed absolutely everything that I have got from my inner knowing, first and foremost. Let's acknowledge that. Like, my direct experience of myself and my needs and desires were completely affirmed. And then it's like every other system that I've dabbled with, like whether it's, you know, the Myers-Briggs test or the Enneagram or the astrology, all of that stuff that I'm kind of like being secretly interested in, it was like, there it is again, there it is again, there it is again. And it's really like that aspect.
Brought it together, yeah.
Completely brought it together. But what I loved was your confidence in your own modality. Because I suppose I was using some of those things as a crutch at some level at some times in my life. You know, it's like, somebody tell me who I really am. And the answer is within. The answer is in trusting my own experience. And you were like, well, yeah, whatever about the astrology stuff, you know, you knew that your process has helped people and you trusted in your own modality.
I think it's because, it's because it's taken a while, like, sorry.
Yeah, no, go on.
No, I want to see, because you were just finishing then. I'm really bad at interrupting people. I do that.
So am I, the two of us. But, and I'm conscious of the time as well. But, yeah, you modeling that for me, you know, a lot of what I got from this was observing how you are with yourself and the permission you gave yourself to do this in a fluid and flexible way, for me to then absorb that sense of less rigidity, you know, and to trust that how I am with my clients is the right way, because it's me doing me. So I don't have to adhere to any external things. So like, you bringing your modality that was, you know, that you downloaded or channeled, the soul streaming modality, was like, wow, this woman really trusts and is grounded in her own unique, you know, way of working with people. So that's been massive for me, just as a like, therapist, you know, and as a coach. But yeah, the soul streams, it was all about, I mean, it's kind of like the embodied self-mastery at the bottom, the way I imagine it, as the chakras and the energy centers, and then kind of spiritual, you know, guidance and leadership at the top. and just marrying the two. So it's really about it was like, this is literally the name I've given to my business, Embodying My Truth.
Exactly. That's who you are, right? In your
you'll remember how many times I was laughing out loud going, oh my God, this is so, there's so many synchronicities with colors and symbols. And it was so joyful to discover in yet another way, and in a deeper process than ever, a more fun process than I've ever been in, that this is true, that what I knew to be true at some level is true, or is being reflected back to me, you know. And then the communication piece, I suppose taking it beyond a sense of, so one of my soul streams is communication and healing through communication. So I was like, you mean like blog writing or Facebook? Like which specific methodology is it? And you were like, well, no, it's much deeper than that. And that's what I understood through the soul streaming, is that there's a healing aspect to communication that is maybe unknowable or happening in a dimension or an energetic way that I don't fully understand, but that I feel open to, you know, opening to more, and just kind of, I suppose, seeing myself as not just a person sitting in the chair in the physical realm, but that there's something else. And I always knew that there's another resonance happening with my clients on multiple levels, you know, from the nervous system to the heart to the emotional presence and the intellect, and then some deeper levels of healing. And then the freedom, creativity, curiosity. I knew all those things. I didn't fully own them.
You didn't own them. That's the thing, isn't it? And that's the thing that was kind of being shut down a bit. And do you feel you do that more in your work with people now? And in how you approach your work, like bringing the sort of creativity, sort of expression, and the kind of curiosity and all that?
Definitely. It's just, again, it was like permission to be my natural self, you know, like I'm naturally so curious and hungry for knowledge, but again, the shift has been more from like out of this hunger for intellectual kind of external confirmation of things that I wanted to be true, to like curiosity about my inner landscape and the person in front of me, like being so curious about them at multidimensional levels, you know. And then freedom, you know, more flexibility and freedom and creativity. Things feel lighter in my work, but that doesn't mean it's less serious. It doesn't mean it's less professional. It doesn't mean, it actually means it's more like effective and deeper. And it's like I'm kind of owning my own position in this work and just seeing myself as a conduit for something magical to happen.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And my particular flavor of that is these aspects. So as someone who loves systems, it was very lovely to have these kind of like core themes coming out and be able to kind of own those words and those aspects of myself.
And I think I loved, as you were talking about, I also realized my battery is running out. As you were talking, we're good.
Otherwise we talk for 5 hours, so that's maybe
yeah. And my friend is coming in like 5 minutes downstairs as well, but that's fine because we're good in time. What I wanted to say is that one of the things for me doing this is because I've been working on soul streaming. I haven't always felt the confidence around, but I just see it always working with people.
Yeah,
I've balanced it over the time with the shamanic journeys as well, and I had to trust in the depth by the what I saw it was creating for people and what it was grounding for them, and that really is what brought the confidence. And I think an internal intention of in the playground, because I work with a lot of creatives and visionaries and people who have so much untapped potential, and in a way you already had tapped a lot into your potential already. For you it was just a lot about balancing into that sort of intuition and creativity, but you had developed your program and everything. And essentially I also there is that element of I really help visionaries really bring out their vision and really flesh that out and really ground it into the world. And I guess that's partly why it needs to be in the playground, because it's kind of like it's when we work with people, people feel inspired and more that they get the permission to kind of work on their signature processes, which is essentially what another big part of this work is like to really help and understanding your soul stream, so to understand like the elements of your message, your brand, and who you are, if you want to be creating something that is branded or whatever. But it's like really understanding who you are, how you're here to help in the planet, and really how you can flesh that out in a way that can really be impactful for people. So it's about really bringing those elements in, and I'm just really so honestly, it's what gives me the most joy. So to hear you say that means the world to me, and honestly had so much fun playing with you. And
I know, so did I. Like serious fun.
So
serious
unexpected. Like we did some soul journeys. I was hearing something say, hang on a minute. And it's like, oh, is that? And then it was like, oh, okay, you know, and there was information coming out and there was energy and all that kind of stuff as well.
And you're so open to it, you know, and so
like,
and I felt really tailored to me. I just feel like I could have hidden for so much longer. If I hadn't done this, I would have been staying small. I created so much, and in a way this really kind of just confirmed that my business focus and the kind of people I want to work with was right for me and right for the best use of my energy. But I could have stayed very hidden. It's like I wouldn't have really had this confidence to really come forth in the world and not waste any more time and just go past all the ego stuff of like, oh, should you be doing this, that, or the other, or are you this enough? Or it's like, just get out of your own way, you know?
Yeah.
But experientially doing that with you and walking through that experience in the playground is so different to reading it in books and reading, you know, affirmations or like, you know, inspiring quotes from other people. It's like you took me on that journey, on the deepest journey anyone can ever go on, like kind of highest and lowest in terms of like my most core needs in the earth plane, and then the much more expansive, like higher self aspects. And it's like, it was like completely comprehensive, and everything else that's out there just feels like it'll deal with, you know, sort of channels and funnels, like modalities like for communication or for discovering who you are, but it's not the two. So that's what's so unique about this, was it was so utterly holistic. Like where else are you going to get someone who can chat to you about, like, you know, or like take you through journeys with guides and the higher self aspects and talk so concretely about your more practical pressing needs as well. So that's what I think is so unique about what you offer. Like, it is really unique. And I think,
thank you. And I think what I really kind of, the reason why it came about is because when I came into like wanting to express myself in the world and do something, and I realized that a lot of what I was seeing out there was very much outside, inside orientated, as opposed to inside out, you know? And I felt like it was like very mentally understanding yourself in a very mental, intellectual capacity, as opposed to a deeper way. And that just didn't resonate. And I feel like it wasn't touching me and going deep inside. And the 20 years of intense like spiritual growth and all the work I've been doing with some incredible teachers, I felt like I can't leave that stuff out, you know? And it was something about, in a way, integrating, and essentially, I guess, let that be the message I feel from this, something about, you know, we don't need to leave any aspect of our strengths out, our intellectual capacity, whatever we're strong in, that's great. Yet it's like, it's about kind of embracing the fullness of ourselves, right? And something about, there's a potential to work with everything that we have as humans, to really allow aspects of ourselves, our intuition, if that's been underdeveloped, we can sort of like do a little bit of work to really connect with it. And it's just as simple as that. And we don't need to leave aspect of ourselves out of the picture.
No, it's working with your whole self. And that's the point, isn't it? Like, you know, not everybody will go there, or some people will go to the very kind of spiritualizing aspects and they're not grounding, and they're really struggling with boundaries, with their health, with their energy.
That's exactly, that's the thing. I was finding a lot of spiritual seekers who are just addicted to seeking and not knowing where to kind of like, and I felt it was because intentionally they felt that they always like, unconsciously, there was always a sense of like, there was fear, there was a lot of stuff underneath that was like holding back from actually, you know, expressing in the world. And I found in myself like how much joy it gave me, and how much like, I really started sort of like stepping into my potential more. And I felt like, I think that we need to know when it's time to stop seeking and to start creating and having fun with it.
And have the balance. Like, that's what's attracted me to working with you, is that you have a real life in a real house with your son, with your friends, with your family, you know, like you want it to happen at a pace, you know, if we believe that we have incarnated as souls, that we're not just accidental, you know, three-dimensional creatures. The whole point is to experience life as a human being in this world, and for that to be successful and joyful. I agree. And, you know, to have the capacity and the resilience to go through things that are challenging, to break free from our restrictive patterns and, you know, wounds. But that is the journey. So it needs to happen on all those levels: mind, heart, body, spirit, and the bits that we don't know, you know, the mystery. But to also be able to live like a really enjoyable life, and be able to meet life's challenges in a very embodied, like real world way. I think that's, some people come at it from different angles, but they don't marry it all. Whereas I think that you're
And
your
it's
own
a
personal.
process. It is a process, which is also okay to admit that it is a process, but it needs to start with the intent that actually it's okay to want to create. And I think in my case, it was really putting me in trouble. I really was unhappy wanting to I was really kind of struggling being on the human plane as a person who was not a creator, who was not creating.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a deep desire for us to create inside. Now, Delphine, just because I'm aware of the time, my friend about to text to say she's downstairs. I just wanted to kind of like let people know what you do and also where they can find you, because I'm so pleased that this has been such a lovely experience for you. I feel it's just the beginning of, not
it
the
really
beginning
is.
in a way, but you know, like in a way, for me, if anything, the play opens me up to so much more and more, and it's almost like it's an incredible new adventure beginning, and I'm seeing it in a way from the eyes of like a child almost, right? I'd love to know, I know that you guide truth-seeking women to get to know and love and trust themselves, to alchemize self-doubt into sovereignty and self-belief so that they can feel good about expressing their true selves in all aspects of their lives. What is your website, and how can women get in touch with you if they were, you know, intrigued and wanted to find out more about you?
Yes, so the name is Embody My Truths, and it's .com. So
is it My Truths with an S or My Truth?
No, Embody My Truths. Okay. So again, when I thought that, you know, when I figured that, when I decided to buy that domain name, I was a bit like, oh my god, but something made me do it. I don't know how, and it's like I've had to catch up with it because it's a very intense sounding, you know.
But it's interesting.
Like, embodymytruth.com, and they'd be like, what? Telling tech people. I was like, yeah, it's really intense. And now it's like, intense, but that's the journey I'm on. That's what I love helping women with, people with in general, and particularly women. So it's like I have to own it now. Like maybe my soul knew that I was going to be doing that, and the rest of me was trying to hide, and it forced me to take a really like full-on domain name.
And also, you know, if you remember what like the guys were saying from the beginning, you are so aligned with this title, this website, and the meaning, and that's essentially, that's your, what exactly you here to
I know, it turns out I was already on the right path.
You were on the right path, but it, you know, it helps kind of really flesh that out, and maybe hopefully kind of help you a bit more confident in owning that.
Yeah, and I feel like you say it's just the beginning, and that can mean so many different things. Embody My Truth can be speaking your truth to a partner, or it can be like things on very different multidimensional levels. So I feel like it's a name that can grow with me as I grow, and hopefully continue to be courageous to grow. But I've got some pretty good foundations, having had some fun on the playground with you. So
that's wonderful. I'm really pleased. And I can ask you, where are you about to go to for the next few days? What are you getting ready for? I think it's very exciting. I mean, obviously,
I'm going to go on a kind of an inner and outer adventure to the site of the Oracle at Delphi in Greece.
So Delphine is going to Delphi.
Yes, exactly. So again, the inner critic is like narcissistic pilgrimage, and then my soul is like, it is time to go. It's time to go and just see what energy is there. And yeah, magical synchronicities happening in terms of picking up things to do with the Oracle and the symbolism of Apollo and the sun. And so yeah, we could spend another hour talking about all the magic.
And you channel the information also, right? Like, because I remember asking you, like, okay, there's going to be stuff that happening on the journey, you need to channel about it. And you channel the information as to what's going to be happening, what you need to do there, when you go to the temple. A little
ritual there. I got some symbols and images of what might be a nice thing to do there on the day. So I'm really excited to see, and there's a particular date that I needed to be there on. So again, I'm open to the magic and mystery in a way that I did not think I could be, you know, having come from being quite an anxious person and not so trusting of the world, and having to shed a lot of layers. It's just so amazing to see that I'm now off on this unknown adventure. So I look forward to letting you know how I get on.
I look forward to hearing, and I'm gonna say goodbye. We're gonna close it there because I've got 5% of battery, and I want to like stop the recording before it goes. But just wanted to say thank you so much for for this, and it's just been so much fun, and it's so lovely to see you kind of flourish like this and just enjoy this process so much more now. So
I can't think of anyone who'd have been more of a better partner in fun and in depth, and than yourself. It's just been
playmate.
Amazing.
Nice.
So much joy.
Thank you so much, and have a really wonderful journey, and I can't wait to hear all about it.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.